What is up, YouTube? It is Financial Mike and we are back here with another video. Today we're going to be going over the exact solar pitch that made me six figures at 20 years old. So if nobody knows who I am, I've been in the door-to-door industry for the past 5 years. I started off when I was 18 years old. I made my very first six figures in the industry at 20 years old. That's 2 years into my entrepreneurship journey. So now I'm going to give you guys all the sauce that helped me get to the next level. Here are just some photos of me with some clients back in the day when I was 18 and I first started going door to door. Same day close right there. This is one of the boys that we ended up closing with my other really good friend, Ryan D'Alba. Fun fact, actually, he was one of the very first recruits that came through my TikTok, and in his very second year with working with me, he was able to make six figures at 19 years old, change his life completely, and just turn the trajectory of where he was going up. But really good testimonial there for those of you guys who don't know who that is. But let's get straight into the video. So anytime I get into a close, the very first thing that I'm doing is building rapport with the customer. So rapport, right? What type of rapport am I building with these customers? I'm asking them, how's their day going? Where are they from? How long have they lived in the home? Get your customers to open up, because once you get them to open up, that's when they're going to trust you, right? But if you go into the appointment and you just start going sell, they're obviously not going to want to freaking open up to you or talk to you, because they're going to feel like you're like everybody else. So the very first thing, you want to build rapport. So after you build rapport, that's when you want to build what I like to call authority bias. What's authority bias, you may be asking? You want to build authority on the company, yourself as the professional, and then you also want to build value on the program as well. So within your very first 10 minutes of the close, you want to get the client to trust the company. So depending on who you're working for, just give them a brief overview. For me, an example, I was working at a company called Natural Energy. I just be like, hey, we're a local company out here based in the Midwest. The owner of the company, Parker Dixon, his mom actually runs the biggest commercial construction company in the state of Arkansas, Turnkey Construction. And when they hear that and I start showing them proof and evidence and photos of work that we actually done, that completely makes people trust the company before you get into the pitch. Because that's one thing that people are going to be skeptical of. Am I going with the right person? Building authority bias in yourself. I literally just tell them, look, I'm from New Jersey. I don't like to bullshit people. I've seen the goods, the bads, and the ugly with solar, but I'm here to tell you what it could do for you as long as we do this right. I've done this in Florida, California, New Jersey, Texas, you name it, but now I'm here for a reason, XYZ, yada, yada, yada. Build that authority bias in yourself. Let them know that you're the professional, because a lot of people have consultants that are quote unquote professionals going into their home that have no idea what they're talking about. Build authority on the program. And just talk about net metering. Talk about how it's been around for many years, and talk about how this isn't anything new. Just people are starting to take advantage of the net metering program, because this is the first time in history that you're actually able to go solar for nothing out of your pocket as long as you're able to qualify. So as soon as you get into that close, build that rapport, get that customer to open up. My opening question that I'd always hit these homeowners with, so when XYZ setter came by, what was it that initially piqued your interest about the program? They're going to tell you exactly how to close them. Well, we wanted to save money. We wanted to see if we could lower our bill. How do we even qualify? That one question would tell me everything that I needed to know moving forward past the close, because I already knew if I hit this part right here correctly, building the authority bias, and then they just want to know if they could even qualify or if it's something that they can actually do. That means you just have to hit your pitch correctly, and then everything else is going to be better from there. So what do I do after I build the authority bias, build the rapport, and figure out my probing questions? What is it that they want from out of this? Then you want to start pulling back before you actually get into the actual pitch. So what's a pullback? A pullback is making this feel like a selective program, because the truth of the matter is that not everybody can qualify. If everybody could do it, then everybody would have it, but the reality of the situation is that not every home qualifies. It comes down to roof tilt, sun exposure, the amperage box in your garage, if your attic checks out, if the trusses actually are able to support a system like this on top of the roof. So I pull back and I just tell them, like, look, all of this may look good. We might even be able to do this for you. But at the end of the day, if the utility company denies you, then you're stuck. You're stuck paying that high bill. You're stuck being subject to the price per kilowatt going up. You guys wouldn't be able to lock in your rate of power. So when I pull back on them before I actually get into the pitch, they're like, oh, damn, well I don't want to be stuck paying this bill forever. I really want to save money, so like, what do we got to do? So at that point, that's when you're just got to wrap up your whole entire first 10 minutes of like going through your rapport, the authority bias, asking your probing questions, and just being like, look guys, at the end of the day, this program either makes a whole bunch of financial sense for people or none at all. I'm going to tell you the ins and outs of the program. If you have any questions whatsoever, ask me at any time. And then the very first thing that I'd go into is the first four. Warranties, if my pen wants to actually work here. So I just tell them, you guys would get a warranty on the panels. You get a 25-year parts production, and you also get a 25-year production warranty. So anything that we guarantee today that the system has to be producing, it has to be doing over the next 25 years. If not, it's on us to come by and pop up a couple of panels to make up for that consumption for you. As far as the warranty on the parts goes, that covers the panel, inverter, the panels, inverters, racking system, the whole entire 9 yards. So they have the peace of mind to know that they don't have to come out of pocket twice for something that they've already bought. 2, you want to go over the insurance with these homeowners. And it's literally as simple as this. Who do you guys use for insurance? State Farm, Aflac, whoever the hell it may be. Awesome. We work with those guys all the time. Biggest thing that the insurance companies want to know is that you guys have a solar system going up. Shoot them a call after this consultation and let them know how many panels are going up and how many kilowatts are going to be going on the roof. 9 times out of 10, the homeowner's insurance is going to cover the panels. So typically it just varies on every customer. But the second thing that I go over is just the insurance, just so they don't give me this objection later on within the pitch. I'm pre-handling all the common objections that people have. That's how come I go over this top 4, that's my frequently asked questions. 3, everybody wants to know what happens when they move, because people don't want to get stuck with a bill. People want to make sure that this is something that they're not going to be stuck with. So when it comes to moving, this is completely transferable. Payments, benefits, and warranties all just go over to the next person. And a common objection that you may run into is, well, what if the next person doesn't want it? Well, if the next person doesn't want it, they're just not going to buy the home. But at the end of the day, if you're adding an asset onto the home, people are going to want to be protected, and obviously have a cheaper fixed rate bill as to paying the utility company, in which it just goes up every single year. It's like when you guys moved in here, the electric bills weren't the same as they are now, right? And they're going to be like, yeah, so if you could lock in that rate and have it forever, you'd see how that benefits you. And it completely just destroys that objection, because who wouldn't want to move into a home with a cheaper utility rate? Like, come on, be for real now. And then the last thing, depending on what you're selling, whether it's a loan or a PPA, just going over the tax credit. I always show the homeowners the 5695 residential energy credits form. And I just tell them, like, look, this is a 30% federal tax credit. Essentially, this is going to cover 30% of the overall cost of your system. And at month 18, when it re-amortizes, we're actually able to get your payments lower. And that's one thing that separates me from a lot of rookie solar sales guys. Like, nobody talks about the re-amortization. Nobody actually talks about the benefits of the solar loan and how these homeowners can use it to their advantage. I'll get into that a little bit later. But after you go over the top 4, which is your frequently asked questions, you're literally you just want to make sure that you overcome all of these objections. Biggest things to look out for when going over your frequently asked questions is the body language. If somebody gives me like a crazy look, or they're unsure of like what I said, I'll check them. I'll be like, hey customer, I was explaining this, but it looks like you're a little bit confused. Is there anything I can clear up for you as far as that goes? And like, dude, if you notice it, call it out. Don't just let them fucking look confused and move past it, because they're gonna have that objection looming over top of their head the whole entire time as you're going throughout the pitch. So it's better to battle it now, so by the time you get to your close, they're not giving you some BS objection about why they don't want to save money on their bill. So after you go over the frequently asked questions, that's when I'll just go into the net metering program. I'll just be like, hey customer, do you know what net metering is, or does this kind of sound like Chinese to you? And they'll be like, oh, we don't know how the hell it works. I'll just be like, cool. So in the past, there was only 2 different ways to go solar. There was the cash option, in which you show a whole bunch of money out of pocket, and typically you're spending about 50 to 80K. And I'll be like, a lot of my clients that I sit down with, like, nobody has the money to pay for that. Like, that's an arm and a leg. It just doesn't make sense. There's the PPA option, in which you guys are getting a cheaper bill, but the only bad part about it is that it goes up every single year, and nobody wants to move into a home with solar panels on it that they don't actually own. So that just takes the PPA option out of the board, and I just tailor my pitch towards what I'm pitching to the homeowner. If I'm pitching a PPA, then I'll just flip it around and say loans are bad, but depending on what you're selling, like, that's how you want to pitch it. And I'll be like, so the way that the new net metering program works is as simple as this. You got the sun, don't judge my drawing, guys, I failed art class. You got your home, you got your roof, and hypothetically the panels on top of it. Geez, my drawings are terrible, as well as the utility company over here. So essentially, all the energy from the sun that goes over to the roof, it gets sent back over to the utility company. And at nighttime, all the electricity that you produce, it gets stored, and they're gonna backfeed that to your home whenever you need it. Depending on what state that you're selling at, they do this at a 1-to-1 rate. So for every kilowatt that you produce, they store it and they backfeed that to your home whenever you need it. Why would the utility company be doing this, you may ask? What's in it for them is that the federal government said if they can get about 30% of their clients on the renewable sources, that they would get a whole bunch of tax credit and benefits from the government. So essentially, if you're able to qualify to go solar, instead of you paying back the utility in dollars and cents, you pay them back in the electricity that you're producing on your rooftop. And then I just go into the battery conversation and just completely destroy that. But nowadays, if you're selling solar, batteries are a lot more accessible to the homeowners. But let's just say that we weren't selling a battery. I'd hit them with, have you guys ever done any research into batteries or backup power? Yeah, some of the best ones on the market are Tesla, Enphase, whatever it may be, you name it. The only issue with that is most homes need about 2 to 3, and that's about 20 to 30 grand out of pocket. And most people that I talk to, that's just way too much money for backup power. So the utility company stepped in and said, if you can pay us our connection fee of $10, we'll act as your electric battery backup, so you don't have to go out and spend that huge out-of-pocket cost on batteries. That's the exact reason why they swapped out that analog meter to the new digital one, because with the analog, it would only send electricity one way. With the new digital one, it goes both directions. So they're able to track how much you're producing and consuming and see how much they credit you at the end of the month or at the end of the year for your bill. It's kind of like the AT&T rollover minutes from back in the day. I'm sure you guys remember that, right? And we'll be like, oh yeah, we definitely remember how those work. This makes so much sense now, but we're just doing it with our power. And then you guys are all on the same page and they're like, wow, so why isn't everybody doing this? What's this gonna look like for me? Because once you get them to understand that part, it just makes the rest of the sale make sense. Solar makes sense. It's just the only reason people don't buy it is that they probably didn't get explained it correctly. So once you go over your net metering section, I'll just recap it and I'll just be like, look, does all of this make sense as far as the net metering program goes? You're simply producing power, it's getting stored, and they're backfeeding it to your home to just credit your bill at a 1-to-1 rate. And as long as you're producing as much as you're consuming, it will eliminate that bill. And if you have examples, definitely show them in the home. Show them an example of a bill, show them an example of a net metering bill, show them what it's gonna look like for them, paint that picture so they have an idea of being like, okay, so if I were to hypothetically go solar, this is what it would look like for me. And you know, it just makes them a lot more open and receptive to it. And you wanna make them feel like they're a part of this decision, not that you want them to do this, because this is truly for them. If I'm not gonna sit here and pull teeth if they wanna pay a higher electricity bill. The hell? It doesn't make sense. So last things last is like, I just go over the pricing and let's just do some random numbers. For example, I don't want to spend too much time on this because you guys already know if you're selling solar, like what this would look like. I'd just be like, your average bill is about $200 right now. It's going up by about 7%. every year, whatever the frick it may be. And I'll just be like, look, 215 next year. 5 years down the line, you're looking at 500. 25 years down the line, you're looking at freaking $800 in utility. And I just be like, look, over the past couple of years that you guys have been at the home, you guys have been consuming the same amount of electricity. The way that these utility companies are nickel and diming you is by raising that price per kilowatt every single year. So no matter how you guys look at it, the utility rates are just going to keep on going up. And I'll be like, the cost of you guys doing nothing at all in your home, if you just keep on doing things the way that you're doing, if you guys have a proposal sheet or whatever you use to write out these proposals, it will tell you the cost of doing nothing. Let's just say it's 80 grand. I'll be like, that's a shit ton of money, guys. Like, you don't want to spend that type of money on just electricity, right? That's crazy. So after I just lay out how much you're gonna pay, analogies are gonna help you really sell this damn fucking thing. I'll be like, all right, guys, so when you guys did move into your home, did you guys initially do a fixed or a variable mortgage? And they'll be like, fixed. And I'll be like, well, why didn't you guys decide to do a variable? I'll be like, well, it doesn't make any sense. Why would I do a variable mortgage when it goes up every single year? Dink. And I'll be like, exactly. Like, well, why are you guys doing that with your power right now? The same exact reason that you guys went and decided to do a fixed mortgage on the home is the exact reason why you guys want to do this. You're essentially getting a fixed rate on your power for the remainder of the time that you're in the home. So instead of you paying that $200 bill that's going up and up and up and up as the price per kilowatt goes up and your price of power is going up, as long as you guys are able to qualify for this program, we're going to be able to lock in that rate back down at about $150 at a 2.99 APR, whatever product that you're selling, over 20 years. And I'll be like, look, so the best part about this is that instead of you guys spending 80 grand for doing nothing, solar drops that overall cost for power in your home to only, freaking 42000. You're gonna get back a $10,000 tax credit. And when I bring up the tax credit, I'm like, you guys remember the tax credit that I mentioned to you earlier, correct? They'd be like, yeah. And I'll be like, look, guys, $10,000 is a lot of money. Like, what would you do with that? Start to get them into the mind of like, oh, what am I gonna do with my tax credit that I received? Because you're soft closing them. And they're gonna be like, oh, we'll probably do this, we'll probably do that. And I'll be like, all right. Last thing that I want you guys to do is take a trip to Mexico, take a vacation, and enjoy your best lives with this money. The government intended for you guys to take this tax credit and put it back into the freaking system. So I'm just putting down numbers for example here. After your tax credit, your overall cost comes down to $30,000. So overall, over the next 25 years, you guys are saving $50,000 just by making the switch, as long as you qualify. And essentially, after I go over this part, I just go over the reamortization of the loan depending on what product that you're selling. And I'll be like, look guys, if you guys pay into the system for the first 18 months and put in your tax credit at month 18, your bill is going to reamortize and the payment's going to drop based on how much you put into the system. It's kind of like getting a refinance on the home for a mortgage to get that payment lower, except this is with your power. It's a solar specific loan, and that's the beneficial part to you. And literally, once I break it down like this, it makes it no question about if they're going solar or not, because I pull back again. Like, I assume that we are going to be doing this. Look, guys, I know all of this looks great. The biggest thing is that we can't get ahead of ourselves because there is a qualification process and there's a couple of steps towards doing this. I'm just the first step towards getting this going. So what would that look like for you? The first thing is just obviously doing the qualifying as well as me. So I'll tell them, look, we got to get you guys pre-qualified and send in an application to see if you guys get the pre-approval. And then I actually have to send in your application to the utility company. All that entails is just us going over the agreement that goes over everything that we went over in fine writing, the installation doc, which is an itemized list of everything that's going to be going to the utility as far as the equipment, inverters, and everything that the project entails. And then after we get you guys pre-qualified, we have to set up that site survey. So essentially, we'd send somebody out here to just take a look at the roof, the attic, the breaker box, the main disconnect, the whole nine, because we wouldn't want to take on a project like this if we would be held liable in case if it wouldn't work. Does that make sense? And they'll be like, oh, yeah. And I'll be like, look, so everything that we're doing today is it's all pre-approved until we get the final approval. So I'll just pull back and say, like, look, just because we're signing paperwork and doing everything today, it does not mean that you guys can go solar. You're not signing your life away. I don't even know if you guys can do this. We still got to get a couple of approvals and check marks in different places. So once we get that site survey done and take a guy out, and if you guys are on this site survey part, I literally hit him with this every time to just soft close him. What's a good time for you guys tomorrow or next week? Do you prefer mornings or afternoons for the guy to come by and check out the home? And I'll literally just write down the date. Oh, Monday in the AM. Cool. And I'm literally just soft closing them. Cool, well, I'll go ahead and get that on the schedule for you guys. After we get this site survey done, we still have to go ahead and pull permits from the city. We have to get CAD work, engineering plans, blueprints, the whole entire nine, because we have to get the city's approval. Once they give us that thumbs up, that's when we can take all of the information from 1 through 4 to the utility company. And they're the biggest gatekeepers of this project, because if they deny your guys' net meter and application, at the end of the day, my hands are tied and I can't even help you guys out. And the reason why I say that is because you see the flip in their eyes and they're like, wow, this dude really wants to help me. It's not even on him. He's just here presenting me the information and what it would look like if my application even gets accepted. And I'll be like, once we get that approval from the utility, that's when we can schedule that installation date for you guys so you can be up and running with solar. And I literally just tell them, like, at the end of the day, I always like to under promise, over deliver. I'm from New Jersey, so I'm like bullshit people, but you shouldn't expect anything to touch the roof for about 3 to 4 weeks. And then the way you want to close these guys is just give them a nice little recap. Assuming that I can pull through on my end, we're saving you guys about 50 grand over the next 25 years. You're redirecting a payment that you're already paying back into something that you own, and that builds equity into the home, and it's nothing out of your pocket. Let's go ahead and see if you qualify. And they're just going to be like, well, Billy, should we do this? Well, numbers make sense. I guess we might as well. And then you run that credit. Just make sure you're going through the application with them thoroughly and that everything is as said that you guys went over, and you shouldn't have any issues running them through the paperwork, getting them everything signed, doing that welcome call, and getting the panels to install. And this is the exact pitch that got me from getting closes to getting installs, because it's one thing to be a presenter, but it's one thing to be an installer. And the only thing that matters in this solar industry is what touches the roof, not what you close on paper. So that is my exact pitch and my exact framework that made me 6 figures at 20 years old by selling solar door to door. Nowadays, I'm just closing solar virtually. I have fiber optic teams. I have teams in multiple different industries. So if you're somebody watching this video and you're looking to get into sales, whether it's door to door, whether it's remote, and you're looking for the right opportunity, you just don't know where to start, that's how come I'm here to take you to the next level. Feel free to take a look at feel free to take a look at the description down below for more information. Drop a like on the video if you really felt like this was able to help you, and subscribe as well. If you guys have any other topics that you want me to go over, any other sales tips, frameworks, or ways that I close for any industry, feel free to ask me down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.